The light from the afternoon sun filtered through the curtains, casting long shadows across the wooden floor of our bedroom. I stood by the dresser, rifling through the drawers, searching for the spare keys I was certain I had left there months ago. We were supposed to meet some friends for dinner, and I was running late, again. "Sarah!" I called out to my wife, who was somewhere downstairs. "Have you seen the spare keys?" There was a pause, then the sound of her footsteps on the stairs. "I think they're in the drawer under your socks," she called back, her voice carrying an edge of impatience. I opened the drawer she mentioned and pushed aside a jumble of items, old receipts, loose change, a pair of socks that had seen better days. I felt my hand brush against something small and plastic. My fingers closed around it, and I pulled it out, expecting to see the keys. But what I held in my hand was not a keychain. It was a package of birth control pills, half empty, the foil blister pack revealing the missing tablets. I stared at it, my heart suddenly thudding in my chest. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. "Sarah," I called out, my voice quieter now, tinged with confusion. She appeared in the doorway, her face framed by the soft glow of the setting sun. Her auburn hair caught the light, making her look almost ethereal, but the expression on her face was far from angelic. "What is it?" she asked, a hint of irritation in her voice. Her eyes followed my gaze to the pills in my hand, and I saw a flicker of something, panic, flash across her face. My mouth went dry. "What are these doing here?" She blinked, her expression quickly shifting to one of nonchalance, but I could see the tension in her jaw, the way her hands fidgeted at her sides. "Oh, those?" She shrugged, forcing a smile. "They must be old. I thought I threw them away." "Old?" I echoed, not sure if I was trying to convince her or myself. "We've been trying to have a baby, Sarah. You said you stopped taking these months ago." She bit her lip, her eyes darting away from mine. I must have forgotten," she mumbled, but her voice lacked conviction. Something in my stomach twisted, a cold, hard knot forming as realization began to dawn. "You forgot?" I repeated, disbelief thick in my voice. "We've been trying so hard, doing everything the doctors recommended, and you forgot." Her eyes finally met mine, and I saw something there that made my blood run cold, guilt. "Michael, She started, but I couldn't let her finish. "How long, Sarah?" I demanded, my voice louder now, trembling with the fury building inside me. "How long have you been lying to me?" She flinched at the anger in my voice, but she didn't deny it. Instead, she took a step back, as if the distance could shield her from the truth. "Michael, please, just calm down. It's not what you think." "Not what I think?" I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. "You've been taking these behind my back. You've been stopping us from having a child. Why? Why would you do that?" Her silence was answer enough. She glanced away again, and that's when I knew. It wasn't just the pills. It was something far worse. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice dropping to a deadly calm. "Who have you been seeing?" She shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "It's not like that, Michael. Please, let me explain." But I didn't want to hear her excuses. My mind was already racing, piecing together the puzzle. The late nights, the mysterious phone calls, the sudden need for space, it all made sense now. "I trusted you," I said, my voice breaking. "We were supposed to be a family, Sarah. I've been working so hard, doing everything I can to make our lives better, and this is what you do." "Michael, I'm sorry," she cried, stepping forward, reaching out to me. But I pulled away, the thought of her touch repulsive now. "Don't," I warned, holding up a hand. "Just don't." The room was silent except for the sound of her quiet sobs. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions, betrayal, anger, disbelief. I couldn't believe that the woman I had spent years building a life with, the woman I had planned to grow old with, had done this to me. I couldn't stay here, not with her. Not now. I needed to get out, to clear my head before I did something I might regret. Without another word, I turned and walked out of the bedroom, the sound of her calling my name echoing behind me. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. The front door slammed behind me as I stepped out into the cool evening air, my mind buzzing with thoughts of revenge. I didn't know who this other man was, but I would find out. And when I did, he would pay for what he had done to me. To us. As I drove away, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, one thing was certain, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The game had just begun. The drive through the quiet, suburban streets does nothing to calm my nerves. My heart is still racing, my mind replaying the moment I found those damn pills over and over again. The betrayal feels like a physical wound, deep and throbbing, impossible to ignore. I finally pull into the parking lot of a local bar, one I used to frequent before Sarah and I got serious. The neon sign flickers above the entrance, casting a dull glow on the pavement. It's early, so the place isn't too crowded yet, just a few regulars hunched over their drinks, lost in their own worlds. I push open the door, the smell of stale beer and cigarette smoke hitting me like a wave. The bartender, a burly guy with a thick beard, looks up as I approach the counter. "Michael," he says, nodding in recognition. "Haven't seen you around in a while." "Yeah, it's been a minute," I reply, sliding onto a bar stool. "Give me a whiskey." "Neat." He raises an eyebrow but doesn't ask any questions, just pours the drink and slides it over to me. I take a sip, letting the burn of the alcohol distract me, even if just for a moment. I'm halfway through my second drink when someone sits down on the stool next to me. I glance over and recognize Ryan, an old friend from college. We used to hang out all the time, but life got in the way, and we drifted apart. "Michael?" Ryan says, surprise evident in his voice. "Man, it's been ages. What are you doing here?" I force a smile. "Hey, Ryan. Just needed to get out of the house for a bit." He nods, taking a swig from his beer. "I hear you. It's good to see you, though. How's everything going with you and Sarah?" The mention of her name makes my stomach twist, but I manage to keep my expression neutral. "Could be better, I admit." Ryan frowns, sensing something's off. "You want to talk about it?" I hesitate. Part of me wants to keep it all to myself, to deal with this betrayal on my own terms. But another part, the part that's still reeling from the shock, needs to unload, to make sense of the mess my life has suddenly become. "She's been lying to me," I say finally, my voice low. "About something big." Ryan's eyes widen. "Sarah? Are you sure?" I nod, the anger bubbling up again. "I found birth control pills in our bedroom. We've been trying to have a baby, and she's been taking them behind my back." "Shit," Ryan breathes, clearly taken aback. That's messed up, man. That's messed up, man," he say. "She tried to lie about it, said they were old, that she forgot. But it didn't add up." I think, I lower my voice, glancing around to make sure no one's listening. "I think she's been cheating on me." Ryan's expression darkens. "That's a hell of an accusation." "You sure?" "I don't know," I admit, running a hand through my hair. "But I'm going to find out. And when I do..." Ryan doesn't say anything, just nods slowly, understanding in his eyes. We sit in silence for a while, the noise of the bar fading into the background. Then, after a few minutes, Ryan speaks up again. "Listen, if you need any help, figuring things out, I'm here. You shouldn't have to go through this alone." His offer catches me off guard, and for a moment, I don't know what to say. Ryan and I haven't been close in years, but the sincerity in his voice is unmistakable. I nod, grateful for the support, even if I'm not sure what I'll need from him yet. "Thanks, man. I appreciate that." The background. On the back. "No problem. We'll get to the bottom of this, okay?" I nod again, but my mind is already racing ahead, thinking about what I need to do next. If Sarah's really been unfaithful, I need proof. And I need to find out who she's been seeing. As if reading my thoughts, Ryan leans in closer. You know, I've got a friend who's a private investigator. He's good, too. If you want, I can put you in touch with him. He could help you get the answers you need. I consider the offer, my heart pounding in my chest. This is it, the first step in unraveling the truth. I can't trust Sarah anymore, not after what I've found. If she's been lying to me, if she's been with someone else, I need to know. I need to confront her with the facts, not just suspicions. Yeah, I say finally. Give me his number. I'll talk to him. Ryan nods, pulling out his phone and scrolling through his contacts. He shows me the name, Tom Willis, and I quickly jot down the number. He's a good guy, Ryan says. Discreet. He'll find out what's going on. I thank Ryan again, feeling a strange mix of dread and determination settle over me. I don't know what I'll find, but I know I can't stop now. Not until I have the truth. We finish our drinks in relative silence, the weight of what lies ahead hanging over us. When I finally leave the bar, the sun has set, and the air is cool against my skin. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. Back in my car, I stare at the piece of paper with Tom's number on it. My hand trembles slightly as I reach for my phone, dialing the number before I can second-guess myself. The phone rings twice before a deep, steady voice answers. Tom Willis speaking. Tom, I say, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. My name's Michael. I got your number from a friend. I need your help. There's a brief pause on the other end, then Tom responds. I'm listening. I swallow hard, the words catching in my throat. But there's no turning back now. I think my wife is cheating on me. And I need proof. Tom doesn't miss a beat. All right. Let's meet. We'll figure out what's going on. We arrange to meet the next morning, and I hang up, my mind spinning with everything that's happened in the last few hours. The uncertainty, the betrayal, the anger, it's all swirling around inside me, but I know I can't let it consume me. I need to stay focused, to keep my emotions in check. As I drive back home, the streets deserted and quiet, I think about Sarah. The woman I thought I knew, the life we were supposed to have together. And I wonder, not for the first time, how it all went so wrong. But now's not the time for regrets. Now's the time for action. The game has started, and I'm going to play to win. When I pull into the driveway, the house is dark, a stark contrast to the chaos inside me. I take a deep breath and step out of the car, my resolve hardening with each step I take toward the front door. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Tomorrow, the hunt begins. The morning sun filters through the blinds, casting pale stripes of light across the bedroom. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind buzzing with everything that happened yesterday. Sarah's betrayal, the pills, the possibility of someone else in her life, it's all a tangled mess I can't shake off. My thoughts are interrupted by the sound of movement downstairs. Sarah's already up, going about her morning routine as if everything is normal, as if our lives aren't hanging by a thread. I pull myself out of bed, each step toward the bathroom feeling heavy, deliberate. I can hear the faint clinking of dishes, the sound of her humming some tune I don't recognize. It's almost surreal, the way she carries on like nothing's wrong. I splash cold water on my face, hoping it'll clear my head, but the knot in my chest tightens instead. When I finally make my way downstairs, Sarah is standing by the kitchen counter, her back to me, pouring coffee into a mug. She turns when she hears my footsteps, a bright, almost forced smile on her face. Morning, she says, her voice too cheerful. I made coffee. You want some? I nod, not trusting myself to speak just yet. I watch her carefully, looking for any sign that she's as torn up as I am, but she seems almost normal. Maybe a little too normal. It's like she's trying to erase the tension from yesterday, pretend it never happened. She hands me a mug, her fingers brushing against mine. I resist the urge to pull away, keeping my expression neutral. Thanks, I mutter, taking a sip. The coffee is strong, bitter, just how I like it, but today it feels like ash in my mouth. We stand there in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. I can feel her eyes on me, studying me, but I don't look up. I'm too focused on keeping my composure, on not letting her see the storm raging inside me. So, about yesterday, she begins hesitantly, breaking the silence. I know things got a little heated, and I just want to say I'm sorry if I upset you. If? I can't help the edge that creeps into my voice. You think that finding out you've been lying to me is something I can just brush off? Her smile falters, and she takes a step back, her hands fiddling with the hem of her shirt. Michael, I never meant to hurt you. I was just... I don't know, confused. Confused? I echo, my anger simmering just below the surface. About what, Sarah? About whether or not you want to start a family with me. Or maybe about whether you want to be with me at all? Her eyes widen, and she opens her mouth to respond, but I cut her off, the frustration finally boiling over. I found those pills, Sarah. You lied to me about wanting a baby. You lied about everything. She takes a deep breath, her face crumpling as tears well up in her eyes. Michael, please, it's not like that. I was scared. I didn't know if I was ready, and I didn't know how to tell you. Her words ring hollow in my ears. All I can see is the package of pills, the proof of her deceit, the betrayal that's been gnawing at me since yesterday. I don't want to hear her excuses, not when I know there's more she's not telling me. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes in my pocket, and I take the opportunity to step away from her, pulling it out to see a message from Tom, the private investigator. Let's meet at the cafe on Elm at 10. Got some info for you. I nod to myself, grateful for the distraction, and look back at Sarah, who's wiping away a tear. I have to go, I say, my voice flat. We'll talk later. She opens her mouth to protest, but I don't give her the chance. I grab my keys from the counter and head for the door, leaving her standing there, a look of hurt and confusion on her face. I don't care. Not right now. Right now, I need answers. The drive to the cafe is a blur, my mind racing with thoughts of what Tom might have found. I park across the street and spot him sitting at an outdoor table, a man in his late 40s with graying hair and a sharp, no-nonsense expression. He's already nursing a cup of coffee, a folder resting on the table in front of him. I approach the table, and he looks up, giving me a curt nod. Michael, he says, gesturing to the seat opposite him. Have a seat. I sit down, my heart pounding in my chest. What did you find? Tom doesn't waste any time. He opens the folder and slides a few photos across the table. My breath catches in my throat as I see them, Sarah, laughing and holding hands with a man I don't recognize. They're walking out of a restaurant, his arm around her waist, their expressions far too intimate for just friends. That's him, Tom says, his voice steady. His name's Daniel Green. Works in finance, mid-30s, single, no kids. He and your wife have been seeing each other for the past 3 months, at least as far as I could track. My stomach churns as I stare at the photos, the truth staring back at me in cold, hard clarity. 3 months, I whisper, more to myself than to Tom. She's been lying to me for 3 months. Tom nods, his expression unreadable. I'm sorry, Michael. I know this isn't easy. I swallow hard, the anger, hurt, and betrayal swirling inside me, threatening to consume me. But I force myself to stay calm, to keep my voice level. Where do they meet? Different places, Tom replies, flipping through a few more pages. Restaurants, bars, sometimes at his apartment. They're careful, but not careful enough. I clench my fists under the table, my mind racing. Sarah isn't just lying to me, she's leading a double life, spending time with this man while pretending everything is fine with us. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut, leaving me breathless and shaking. What do you want to do now? Tom asks, his voice cutting through the fog of my thoughts. I look up at him, the rage simmering just below the surface. I want to confront them. Both of them. Tom raises an eyebrow, but he doesn't argue. I can help with that. But you need to be careful, Michael. These things can get messy. I don't care, I say, my voice hardening. I need to see their faces when they realize they've been caught. I need them to know that they can't just walk all over me and get away with it. Tom nods, understanding. All right. I'll set it up. But you need to be ready for whatever comes next. This isn't just about revenge, it's about ending this, one way or another. I take a deep breath, knowing he's right. This isn't just about getting back at Sarah or Daniel, it's about taking control of my life again, about putting an end to this nightmare. But there's something else, too, something darker lurking in the back of my mind. I don't just want to end this, I want to make them pay. Tom and I finalize the details, and as I drive back home, the weight of what's about to happen settles over me. I can't stop thinking about Sarah, about the woman I thought I knew, the life we were supposed to have together. But that life is gone now, shattered by her lies and deceit. When I pull into the driveway, the house looms before me, no longer the safe haven it once was. It's a battleground now, a place where the final confrontation will take place. I take a deep breath and step out of the car, steeling myself for what's to come. Inside, Sarah is sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the TV. She looks up when I walk in, her eyes red and puffy from crying. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her, but then I remember the photos, the lies, the betrayal, and any sympathy I might have had vanishes. Michael, can we talk? She asks, her voice small, almost pleading. I stare at her for a long moment, my emotion swirling inside me, before finally nodding. Yeah, I say, my voice cold. We need to talk. But what she doesn't know is that this isn't just a talk. This is the beginning of the end. And by the time we're done, everything will be different. We sit down on the couch, the silence between us heavy, oppressive. Sarah looks at me, her eyes filled with uncertainty, but I don't waver. This is it. The moment of truth. Michael, I don't know how to start, she begins, her voice trembling. I know I've hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I never meant for things to get this bad. I don't respond, just watch her, waiting for her to keep going. She fidgets with her hands, clearly struggling to find the right words. I've made a lot of mistakes, she continues, her voice barely above a whisper. But I want to make things right. I want us to fix this, to get back to where we were. Her words are like a knife to my chest, but I force myself to stay calm, to keep my emotions in check. Sarah, I say, my voice steady, there's no going back to what we had. Not after what you've done. She flinches at my words, tears spilling down her cheeks. Please, Michael, No, I cut her off, my voice firm. I know about Daniel. I know everything. Her eyes widen in shock, her face draining of color. Michael, But I don't let her finish. You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around behind my back, and now you want to fix things? How do you expect me to believe anything you say? She stares at me, her mouth opening and closing as she struggles to find a response. But there's nothing she can say that will make this right, nothing that will undo the damage she's caused. I'm so sorry, she whispers, her voice breaking. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I reply, my voice cold, unyielding. And now, you're going to face the consequences. I stand up, my decision made. We're done, Sarah. I want you out of this house by the end of the week. She gasps, her eyes filling with fresh tears. Michael, please. But I don't want to hear it. I turn and walk away, leaving her sobbing on the couch. My heart feels like it's being ripped apart, but I know this is the only way. This is how it has to end. As I walk out the door, the weight of everything crashes down on me. The marriage, the betrayal, the lies, it's all over now. But there's still one more thing I need to do. And as I drive away, my mind is already racing, planning the final confrontation. I'm going to make sure Daniel Green knows exactly what he's done. And when I'm finished, he'll wish he'd never laid eyes on my wife. The sun is setting, casting a golden glow over the city as I drive toward the address Tom provided. My hands grip the steering wheel tightly, knuckles white, as I mentally prepare for what's about to happen. Tonight, it all comes to an end, the lies, the betrayal, the marriage that was built on a foundation of deceit. I park a block away from Daniel's apartment, the engine ticking as it cools. The street is quiet, just a few pedestrians passing by, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside me. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves, but the anger is too strong, too consuming. Tom is already waiting for me near the entrance, leaning against a lamppost, his expression serious. He's dressed in a dark jacket, blending into the shadows. As I approach, he nods in acknowledgement, his eyes scanning the area. "Everything's set," Tom says in a low voice. He's inside. Alone. I nod, my jaw clenched. "And Sarah?" Tom hesitates, then pulls out his phone. "She's on her way. Should be here any minute." I feel a cold knot of anticipation in my stomach. This is it, the moment I've been waiting for. The moment where I confront them both, where I finally get the answers I need. The moment where everything falls apart. Tom leads me to the side entrance, where he's already managed to disable the security system. We slip inside, moving quietly through the dimly lit hallway. The tension is palpable, the air thick with anticipation. When we reach Daniel's door, Tom steps back, giving me the space I need. "Are you ready?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. I nod, swallowing hard. "I'm ready." I raise my hand and knock on the door, each rap echoing in the hallway. For a moment, there's only silence. Then, I hear footsteps approaching from the other side. My heart pounds in my chest, adrenaline surging through my veins. The door opens, and there he is, Daniel Green. He's tall, with dark hair and a neatly trimmed beard, dressed casually in jeans and a t-shirt. He looks surprised to see me, his brow furrowing in confusion. "Can I help you?" he asks, his voice calm but wary. I don't respond immediately, just stare at him, taking in the face of the man who's been sleeping with my wife. The man who's been tearing my life apart without a second thought. "Michael?" Daniel says, recognition dawning on his face. "What are you doing here?" "I know everything," I say, my voice cold, unyielding. "About you and Sarah." His eyes widen in shock, and he steps back, opening his mouth to say something, but I don't give him the chance. I push past him, into the apartment, my anger driving me forward. "Michael, wait," Daniel starts, but I cut him off. "Don't even try to explain," I snap, whirling around to face him. "I've seen the pictures. I know about the lies, the meetings, the nights you've spent with her." He looks genuinely shocked, like a deer caught in the headlights, and for a moment, I almost believe his innocence. But then I remember the pain, the betrayal, and any sympathy I might have felt evaporates. "Where is she?" I demand, my voice rising. "She's on her way here, isn't she?" Daniel stares at me, his expression a mix of confusion and something else, fear. Guilt? I can't tell, and I don't care. I'm too far gone, too wrapped up in my need for answers, for closure. "Michael, please, just calm down," Daniel says, his voice shaky. I nod, swallowing hard. "Isn't it?" I snap, advancing on him. "Then explain it to me. Explain how you've been screwing my wife behind my back while pretending to be just another guy she knows." He opens his mouth to respond, but at that moment, there's another knock at the door. We both freeze, the sound cutting through the tension like a knife. I know who it is before Daniel even moves to open it. Sarah steps into the apartment, her eyes widening in horror when she sees me standing there. "Michael," she gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. What are you doing here? I turn to face her, my chest heaving with the effort of keeping my emotions in check. What am I doing here? I echo, my voice trembling with rage. I should be asking you that question, Sarah. She glances between me and Daniel, panic written all over her face. Michael, please, let me explain. Explain what? I shout, the fury I've been holding back finally spilling over. How you've been lying to me for months. How you've been cheating on me with this man. How you've destroyed everything we built together? Sarah flinches at my words, tears welling up in her eyes. Michael, I'm so sorry, she whispers, her voice breaking. I never meant for this to happen. I laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. You never meant for this to happen? You've been seeing him for 3 months, Sarah. 3 months. How could you think this wouldn't come out? She shakes her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. It wasn't like that. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake, and I didn't know how to stop it. I stare at her, disbelief mingling with the anger. A mistake? You call this a mistake? Sarah's sobs grow louder and she sinks to her knees, burying her face in her hands. I'm so sorry, she repeats, her voice muffled. I'm so sorry, Michael. I didn't mean to hurt you. But her words mean nothing to me now. I feel numb, hollowed out by the weight of her betrayal. I turn to Daniel, who's standing there, his expression grim, as if he's been waiting for something like this to happen. Do you have anything to say? I ask him, my voice devoid of emotion. Daniel hesitates, then shakes his head. Michael, Save it, I snap, cutting him off. I don't need your apologies or your explanations. I don't need anything from either of you. I turn to leave, my mind already made up. There's no point in dragging this out any longer. This is over. It's all over. But as I reach the door, something stops me, a question that's been gnawing at the back of my mind, something I can't ignore. I turn back to Sarah, who's still kneeling on the floor, her body shaking with sobs. Why? I ask, my voice quiet, almost pleading. Why did you do it, Sarah? Why him? She looks up at me, her tear-streaked face filled with anguish. Michael, it wasn't supposed to be like this. It just happened. I was feeling lost, and Daniel, he was there. I wait for her to say more, but she doesn't. And I realize that's all there is to it. There's no deeper reason, no justification that can make this right. She cheated because she wanted to, because she could. I nod, accepting the bitter truth. I hope it was worth it, I say, my voice hollow. And with that, I turn and walk out the door, leaving them both behind. The cool night air hits me like a slap to the face, but I keep walking, not looking back. I don't need to see their faces anymore. I don't need to hear their excuses. I've made my decision. As I reach my car, I stop and take a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything finally lifting off my shoulders. The marriage, the lies, the betrayal, it's all in the past now. I'm free. But freedom comes at a cost. I get in the car and drive away, the city lights blurring as I speed through the streets. I don't know where I'm going, but it doesn't matter. Anywhere is better than where I've been. But as I drive, a new thought creeps into my mind, one that I can't shake. What if this isn't the end? What if Sarah and Daniel continue their affair, oblivious to the damage they've caused? What if they move on, leaving me with nothing but the shattered pieces of my life? I grip the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles turning white. No. I won't let that happen. They won't just walk away from this. Not after everything they've done. I pull over to the side of the road, my heart pounding in my chest. I reach for my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Tom's number. My finger hovers over the call button, a sense of finality settling over me. I press it and wait, the ringing in my ear the only sound in the car. After a few moments, Tom picks up. Michael, he asks, his voice cautious. Everything all right? I take a deep breath, my decision made. I need one last favor, I say, my voice steady. There's a pause on the other end, then Tom replies, what do you need? I want to make sure they never forget what they've done, I say, the words coming out cold and calculated. I want them to feel the same pain I've felt. I want them to pay. Tom is silent for a moment, then he sighs. You sure about this, Michael? Once you go down this road, there's no turning back. I'm sure, I say, my voice firm. I want them to know they can't just destroy someone's life and walk away. Tom doesn't argue. All right, he says. I'll take care of it. But remember, this isn't about revenge. It's about closure. Closure, I repeat, the word feeling foreign in my mouth. We end the call, and I sit there for a moment, staring out at the city lights. I know what I'm doing is wrong, that it's fueled by anger and hatred. But I don't care. This is the only way I can move on, the only way I can reclaim my life. As I drive away, I know that I'll never see Sarah or Daniel again. They'll be nothing more than a distant memory, a chapter of my life that I finally closed. And while the scars of their betrayal will always be with me, I won't let them define me. I am free now, but the cost of that freedom is steep: hatred, vengeance, and a heart hardened by betrayal. As the city fades into the distance behind me, I realize that sometimes, the only way to heal is to burn it all down and walk away from the ashes. And that's exactly what I'm doing.